Alright, Arc Trap Saboteur build overview slash mini guide. So this build is my league starter from the Hardcore Incursion League. I've been playing it since day one. The goal when I made the build was to do a whole lot of temple farming, and to that effect I would say it has done extremely well. I've gone all the way up to tier 16 temples already, had almost no issues really whatsoever other than a couple of the rare monsters inside the high tier temples can hit quite hard. The build has some nice DPS and defenses that trivialize a lot of the temple mechanics and make it pretty safe farming overall. So to get things started, I'm going to toss a map in. Nice easy underground sea, kind of show the build in action and go over some of the basics. So it is a trap build, which generally comes with high burst damage. This one's no exception. The arcs do hit quite hard, but in addition to the high burst, the high damage, it actually clears pretty well with the new arc mechanics and all the extra chains and forks and whatnot that it's got going on. Only real limiting factor is pretty much just your how fast you can run around. So I'm not using a bright beak. I'm not as fast as humanly possible if you want to go full speed mode. And it also does really well in parties. The damage carries through and you can pretty much solo DPS for bosses if you're in a party with some less optimal builds. Aside from that, the temple stuff, like I said, really easy. Not too many issues. The incursions can be somewhat scary, but they're not too bad either, thanks to getting phase acrobatics for the spell dodge from those chaos spitters and just grabbing a little bit of chaos res. You'll see here, depending on what we got.
Ah, there you are.
We got a map room. How convenient. And also the timers on these incursions are easy peasy to keep up with. So just clear out the rest of this map, and then I'll start going over some of the details on the gear and the tree and all that good stuff.
Good job, Exo.
And this boss should die quite quickly, even with EE on the map. You can see the damage is of no issue. So for the details, the important stuff, let's get started on the gems. It's an arc build, so you know you gotta have your arc. Level 21 arc, especially once you're at the end game, is very important. It's extremely powerful compared to a level 20 because it gets the bonus damage for leveling up, but it also gains an extra chain, which improves your clear speed and also improves your single target since you get extra single target for each remaining chain. So you definitely want to chase that as quick as you can. Try to get one as soon as possible. And then for all the supports, I've got the trap support, trap and mine damage, crit strikes, lightning penetration, and cluster traps. Now, crit strikes isn't necessarily the highest damage support, but you're still going to want it because just crit consistency is too good to pass up for clearing. And then if you are on a 5 link, I would recommend dropping either lightning penetration or trap and mine damage. They're both pretty similar. I personally was dropping trap and mine damage when I had my 5 link and it worked out alright. Then the second DPS skill, our Lightning Spire, which is our big boy boss burst. We've got Lightning Spire Trap, linked to added lightning damage, elemental focus, and again lightning penetration. And mine is actually in a Shaper helmet, which is also giving it trap and mind damage, so it's essentially a 5 link, just getting a little bit more damage out of it. In the weapon, I've got the normal shield charge stuff, shield charge 4 to 5 faster attacks. In my shield, I've got my flame dash, my decoy totem, and a little bit of totem resistance to help keep that thing alive. Boots have the cast when damage taken, immortal call, and enfeeble. And then in my gloves, I've got like my utility stuff, siphoning trap linked to advanced traps and increased duration, and then also clarity linked to increased duration. And that's the gems that to go. Also the wrath. I guess I should probably talk about the wrath and the essence worm. Big boy damage buff helps out quite well if you actually turn it on. That's the gems for the gear. Your end game kind of setup, what you're going to be looking at. To get started on your body armor, you're going to want a tabula. You farm it in blood aqueducts. If you don't have one or can't afford one, just farm the full card set while you're there. And then after that, just start immediately trying to get a lore weave. If you're on Trade League, you can start buying the rings. But lore weave is extremely powerful. We recommend it over any other body armor. Not going to use Tinker Skin. Don't want that. I know a lot of people are going to ask. Lore weave is way better. For your weapon, you can use Brightbeak or you can use a rare. Brightbeak is still plenty of damage. You don't really need the damage off your weapon if you get a decent shield with some spell crit. And the Brightbeak will make you go much faster, but a good rare is also nice and powerful, especially if you're going to be partying and you want some extra damage to keep up the one-shotting and the high DPS in party. And then the only other unique item besides that is the Essence Worm itself. They are a bit pricey at the moment with the whole Arc caster meta going on, but it's very powerful. The Wrath is just, 22-23% more damage for you. Then the rest of the items are pretty much just rares with resists and life and some mana, and then a couple mods here and there. So for the helmet, I'd already shown it. The Trap and Mind Damage Shaper Helmet mod, really good to help boost the single target. There's also a couple other Shaper mods you can get, like supported by Innervate. I think there's a flat lightning damage to spells. If you hit those as well, it's a nice added bonus, but if you're looking for the baseline Shaper helmet, you pretty much just want the life and the trap mind damage support, and you're good to go. Gloves are also shapered. They are supported by level 18 trap. We actually don't care about that level 18 trap. What we care about is the mod that comes with it, which is skills which throw traps, throw up to 1 additional trap. And you can see it, especially here when I throw the Lightning Spire. It does have one downside, that when you throw a non-cluster trap like the Lightning Spire, it separates them pretty heavily. This is the bonus trap. It's like right at my feet. It can be kind of annoying, but it also means when I throw my arc traps, I throw full 5 traps instead of 4, so it's a big DPS boost overall. I think it's super worth it. And then their stats on that are pretty much, you just hope you get something good if you're going to craft the gloves yourself. If you buy them, I got really lucky with mine, hit some res and was able to craft life. So, but really all you need is the trap and then ideally crafted life and maybe one good suffix. Shield, spell crit, your crit spell build, you want that. Spell damage is a nice bonus, res is a nice bonus. Until you get something like this one, you could look for something like a kite shield with just a big life roll and big resist rolls to make the rest of your gearing easier. I used one for a while. It helps out quite a bit. And then the boots, the last real special slot, you actually can use at Zeri's Step if you want to, and you have your resist sorted out. It's really nice to get that spell dodge, since like I mentioned, the Chaos Spitters from in the Incursions are spell based, and they're pretty much one of the most dangerous things about this league. They've been taking out a lot of people, so that spell dodge is really good. What I have instead is a pair of Incursion boots, actually, with a hybrid mod that gives you movement speed and spell dodge. There's also one that gives you movement speed and regular dodge. Both of them are really good. And then, you get some, even like crafted life and a little bit of res. Plays pretty much like an Edziri Step, but with a little bit bonus resistances. Mine are two-tone, but you don't need two tones, there's actually a couple good enchants you could get, and makes farming them pretty easily. You can get a lightning damage if you haven't killed recently enchant on some boots. You can get the crit chance if you have not crit recently, or the elemental pen if you have not killed recently. So if you want to do a regular pair of boots farm Uber Lab for those enchants, it actually should be pretty quick to get them, considering you got three different options that as soon as one of them shows up, you're good to go. Would be very convenient. And then, aside from all that, gear's pretty much covered. The only other thing I would mention is you probably want at least one item with a good chaos res roll, since there is quite a bit of chaos damage scaring you this league. I got mine on my belt. With everything else considered, with all these other gear slots, I think belt is probably the easiest spot to get it on with decent other stats for not too much of a big price. Ring, maybe the next best, but definitely want to get a little bit of chaos res. And then on to the flasks. Pretty basic, straightforward flasks for the most part. You got the Quicksilver, Diamond, Basalt, Life Flask. I'm actually using a Lavianga's Spirit. For a long time I was using just a regular blue mana flask. Over here somewhere, just a, catalyzed Eternal Mana Flask. But then I realized that this unique one actually gives a higher amount of mana per second. That's all I really care about. I don't need a suffix on it, since being Sab, we're shock immune, ignite immune, so we don't need those mods. And so it's pretty much more defensive because it gives you your mana back quicker. It's really nice. Would recommend. And then also, if you are not yet crit, since it takes a while to get crit on the build going, you can use an Onslaught Flask instead of the Diamond Flask until then. For the bandits, we've got, I helped Alira all the way up until mid-level 96, where I just recently was able to swap to killing all the bandits and getting the extra passive points. Basically, you want to help Alira until you're at super endgame, pretty set on your gear, and you get to the point where you no longer need the resistances from Alira. So you can see I'm well over capped, well over LE weakness capped, even without helping Alira anymore. And at that point, Alira was basically just giving 20% crit multi, whereas I traded that in. I got 2 skill points, gave me a nice jewel socket for some life and some damage. Pretty much went even on damage, and you gain life at that point. Pantheon, just going right through this real quick. I've got Soul of Lunaris, Soul of Girthcole. Been pretty much using both of these exclusively. If you're doing a scary boss, you can swap to Solaris. If you have the upgraded Shikari, you can swap to that for poison maps if you want to. But Lunaris is extremely good, especially this league with the chance to avoid projectiles. Again, Chaos Spitters, they're spooky. Now, for the passive tree, pretty straightforward overall. Crit, MOM, spells, traps. You can just see it all mouse across it pretty quickly. You've got Mind Over Matter. You've got all your crit. You've got Power Charge Generation on Blast Cascade. Frenzy Charge Generation on Master Sapper. Now, the one thing I would say when planning out your tree is you want to definitely have priority on defense first. Getting MOM pretty quickly, getting a lot of life nodes before maxing out all your crit nodes, especially if you're on hardcore, and getting acro and phase acro relatively early is all really good. For the jewels that I'm running, I think they're mostly just regular non-abyss jewels. I haven't been able to find much on the abyss jewel side of things. You're looking just for life and damage. Life damage, a little bit of crit multi. I think this is my one abyss jewel. What I was looking for, I was trying to craft one here. If you can get a couple abyss jewels with like flat cold damage, or also a weapon with some flat cold damage, it helps quite a bit to shatter enemies, and that's so you don't have to worry about porcupines and stuff as much. It's quite nice. Not necessary, but something to think about. Then on the ascendancy points, we've got Born in the Shadows, Perfect Crime, Chain Reaction, and Pyromaniac. And the order I took them in is that same order. The Blind First is really strong, really liked it. Makes the progression through the acts much easier. And then just getting straight to chain reactions, so we don't have to invest in crazy amounts of trap trigger speed. And Pyromaniac was the Uber Lab reward. And that pretty much, that's the whole build. That's the setup, the endgame stuff. Should get you good to go all the way into the highest tier of maps and temples. But before I go, I'll do a real quick overview on the leveling side of it as well. You can level basically with either lightning trap or arc trap. I leveled with lightning trap since I knew how it was going to work out. I've played it a lot. It was, pretty proven. But I've had a lot of people tell me that they tried leveling with arc trap, and pretty much universally seems like people liked it. It worked well. It's really strong. So the basics, when you get to level 12, either get your lightning trap, get your arc trap. I'll go over, I guess, the arc trap side of things to keep it more simple, since I think most people are going to do that. You'll need to get your +1 lightning wand, which if you don't know how to do that, magic wand, topaz ring, alteration on the vendor, throw in arc plus trap support plus multi-trap support, and keep that going. You can keep that going until you get really any 4-link, but what you should be doing, I think, at that point is, as soon as you possibly can, at least if you're on the trade league, try to buy a pair of Deerstalker boots. Those give you essentially a 5-link and some really good move speed. When you get those, you have, I'd say, 2 options on it, how to set it up, depending on if you get 1 blue or 2 blue sockets. If you get 1 blue socket on the boots, you would put the arc in the blue socket. The boots give you the trap support, and then you use the next 3 greens for multi-trap, which you'll swap to cluster traps when you hit level 38 and you can get that gem. The next green is trap and mind damage, and the last green is charge trap support, which gives you your earlier charges. It's okay, but ideally I think you're going to want 2 blue, 2 green, and you'll replace that charge trap support with controlled destruction, since you're not going to be crit early on, and then you'll swap it to something else, maybe added lightning later down the road when you start switching to crit. And that Deerstalker should carry you pretty damn easily all the way up to Blood Aqueducts, where you'll be most likely farming, 10, 11, 12 levels there anyway, and you want to start farming for your Tabula. And as soon as you get the Tabula, you're good to go. Go straight into the same endgame link setup that I had shown before: cluster trap, trap, arc, trap, mind damage, lightning pen. Now you're not going to be crit right away, so you'll probably replace crit again with either controlled destruction or added lightning temporarily. But that's going to be tons of damage. You'll start cruising through everything, and you're pretty good to go. Now, for the leveling gem side of things, the way I did it and what worked really well: explosive trap you get at level 1. You can actually use that for your single target pretty much all the way till level 28 and beyond. The explosive trap does much better single target than most of the other skills. I would recommend keeping that on at least a 2-link, maybe a 3-link if you can get it, with just whatever damage support you can spare to it. And that'll help you kill all your bosses pretty easily. And as soon as you hit level 28, you will be looking for that lightning spire trap. Get that in your next backup 3-link or 4-link, and use that with a combination of the arc traps to kill all the bosses. And I think that's pretty much how you're going to do it. Really quickly, pull up this passive tree, show you leveling. I'm going to show a basic of what I did for leveling the tree, since it's not quite like the end game tree. Switch this over to shadow. Start off, you're just rushing all the shadow nodes. I'm clicking them pretty much in order that I would grab them. You're going to want all the trap and the LE damage. You don't want crit yet. Grab some life. Grab the sab node. Come up here and grab expeditious munitions. Now, once you have this basic tree, and this is like late Act 1, early Act 2. Whoopsie. That's an alarm. Once you get those done, you're going to want to come out this way, and you've got 2 options pretty much. You can go the damage route, which is up through Written in Blood, and immediately go over to Clever Construction, High Explosives, down to Master Sapper. But what I did was, I played the safe route. I went this way, rushed through Witch, and went straight to Mind Over Matter instead. I think I grabbed Mind Over Matter, and I grabbed these nodes. Didn't grab the extra stuff. And then after that, I went this way over to Clever Construction. Since Clever Construction is not completely necessary early like it used to be, traps can't be destroyed while they're arming. And then down to Master Sapper. Probably back out this way to the Templar, get some Templar life. Jump back and kind of jump back and forth. Acrobatics, phase acrobatics. Life nodes again. Maybe grab nullification early if you need the res. And then that's pretty much your leveling tree. This will get you to level 60-ish, blood aqueducts. And then you can kind of start grabbing all the other nodes. That'll transition you into your crit tree, so like going up this way and grabbing Pearl Prep and all the crit. And I believe that's that. Hopefully that goes into good enough depth detail for anybody looking to play this build. I think I've covered basically everything there is to cover, at least about the end game side of things, and got enough leveling to get you there. If you've got any questions about the setup or comments, let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.